Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Talk Junkies, where tonight is going to be a very beautiful and fascinating evening. We got a full house of cards in the house. I don't know if that's how the best way to put it.
Your intros, bro, every time.
We got the trio.
Glorious.
We got the trio back into the mix tonight. It's just a very beautiful night. It's gorgeous out here where we live in the Midwest. Beautiful weather, beautiful people. Just a good night to podcast.
What else is beautiful, man?
Just the podcast and Talk Junkies. Okay. That's what's beautiful. And anyone who listens to Talk Junkies is beautiful. It's just a great place to be on Sundays. Mentally, there's a lot of thoughts that get provoked throughout these podcasts. We got Jesse back in the house. Johnny's here for good, man. It's looking up. Jesse, how you been, man? It's been a while.
I've been all right. Past couple weeks have been a little wonky, but I'm glad to be back finally and like mentally ready to do a podcast. So
cool.
I'm there.
Good, man. I did mention that you did have some type of like a family issue, in the first podcast. I was just telling people why you weren't here. It's completely up to you if you want to talk about it. You don't have to, man. But
yeah, no, my dog died, and that was really rough. He was the first dog I ever owned, and it's not what you expect. Like me being a first time animal owner, I don't want to get into like too much detail, but it was really heavy on my heart because it was kind of out of nowhere. Just something that you feel powerless over, and you lose something that had unconditional love for you, that was like always there for you. I always regret having that mentality to where I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna be alone at my house tonight. But I always had Lucian with me, my German Shepherd. That was his name. His name was Lucian. And then now looking back, whenever I come home and I'm really alone now. So no, it was a rough thing for me, but I've progressed and learned from it, and that's what it is. So,
yeah. R.I.P. Lucian for sure, man.
Yeah, he was a great fucking dog. I loved the shit out of that dog. Yeah. You really get to understand like other pet owners. Like, it's one of those things to where you have to, you don't get it until you experience how fucking hard that shit is. It really is hard. But yeah, no, I'm good now. He's forever with me. Love the shit out of the dude still. He's gonna, be with me forever no matter what. I got the good memories now. So that is what it is.
Hell yeah. Well, thank you for that, man. And again, our condolences go out to you, and we're here for you no matter what. I'm sure the Talk Junkies community is as well, for the small amount of people that we have. But we love you all, man, honestly, and most importantly. But, it's kind of weird. I was listening to this video, and it's kind of maybe a little bit goes in with that, but not really. So there was this guy, right, and he was a very hard worker, ended up going to college, and, met this girl that he really loved, and ended up, marrying her after a long time, trying to get with her. They end up having 2 kids, and, the kids get to be like 4 or 5 years old, something like that. And just one night, like he's very dedicated family man. One night he's just chilling on his couch, and he sees this lamp, and the lamp is like, it's red, but it's blurry. And he starts looking around, and nothing else is really blurry. It's just the lamp, So it kind of freaked him out in the moment. And dude, this story trips me out. It really does. And I know you guys.
I was gonna say your build up. I feel like you're about to tell like a joke or something.
No. You guys are gonna know exactly what I'm talking about whenever I get done with the story. So, like, he goes to bed and he doesn't think anything of it. He's like, I'm not going to tell my wife or my kid because I don't want them to think I'm crazy or anything like that. I'm just going to go to bed. Everything's going to be fine. Well, he goes upstairs and he just can't stop thinking about this lamp. So he goes downstairs, turns the TV on, watching it, looks back over at the lamp. It's the same thing. It's blurry. It's getting bigger. It's getting smaller. It's changing. It turns upside down. It's blurry. So his wife wakes up in the morning, and he's downstairs sleeping on the couch. She's like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's going on? He's like, nothing, I'm good. I'm just not feeling well. I'm not going to go to work today. Well, this progressed for a few days to a point where he didn't really leave the couch, and his wife called the doctor and was like, hey, what do I do? Well, in this process, and I'm probably butchering the story a little bit, he ends up waking up, or not even waking up. He ends up finding himself in a university, like campus, wherever the state that he lived in was. And there was a crowd full of people, and there was this cop that was coming straight at him. So he was in a completely different place. So this cop runs up and grabs him, puts him in the police car, and then just starts driving off. And the dude's like, what is going on? He's like, some dude just came up to you and just bashed you in the head. His wife and his kids were a dream. The dude was in a coma from getting hit in the head. at this like university, wherever he was at I don't know if it was like a protest or a party or whatever, but he got hit in the head, in the back of the head, and he literally had like a life while he was in
how long was the coma?
I can't remember.
Not that that's time's all relative. Your time,
right. It may have been like a few years or something like that. I don't remember the I can't even say that word, but
the specific.
Yeah,
the
Fuck, man.
The specificity of it. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Specifics. Yeah, sorry.
Specifics.
It took me a while on how long he was in a coma, but it's just crazy, you know. And like he actually had to go through therapy and treatment because he legitimately
thought he had a family.
He thought he had a family.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and he couldn't remember what his kids looked like, but he remembers still having dreams of his kids trying to talk to him, that the kids that he had while he was in a coma, you know. But he had another life while he was in a coma. It's just crazy, and he lost 3 people coming out of it. It's just nuts.
Yeah, that's pretty insane.
Yeah.
It's weird what the human mind can do.
Yeah,
right.
no, that's what I was about to say. The human mind is crazy. I have a little bit of spirituality behind that and believing in the multiverse kind of thing. To like in the back of my head, the conspiracy theorist in me goes a little bit. I'm like, man, what if he literally crossed over and was experiencing another would have been life,
like another version of him?
Yeah, in another dimension, and just his coma allowed him to cross over into that for a little bit and to just experience that life. Obviously, that's just conspiracy theory side of me, but it's still really interesting.
Yeah, very, very. And who was it that we had on? It was Howdy Mikowski, who had said he was able to like tap into that a little bit. Remember when he said he got in that car wreck on that road or whatever it was? I can't remember the specifics on it, but Howdy talked a little bit about.
You sure that was Howdy Mikowski?
Yeah, it was. Sorry, Howdy actually did that on another podcast. He didn't talk about it with us. Is what it was. Sorry. But very, very interesting stuff, and it's just crazy. You're right. What the human brain can do is just absolutely.
It's crazy,
insane.
man. Because it's all just like, when you really boil it down, it's all just chemicals and like electricity. Like it's all just like.
It's got to be more than that, John.
No, but I mean, in general, as far as we can see. Sorry, as far as the human can see using technology, it's all just like electric signals and firing in your synapses and all this stuff, and it's chemicals and all this for you to think that. Which I'm not saying there's not more there. I'm just saying, as far as we can see right now, that like that's crazy to think that your brain can do that. Like you're literally living another life and having another, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But I don't think that limits to somebody to not having like some sense of spirituality or like afterlife.
No, I'm not
thing,
either.
You know, because that's where we derive those things from. But yeah, no, it's just you can't test it. Is the big problem?
No, there's no way to.
You can't.
And maybe it's supposed to. Maybe it's meant to be that way. That it's something that you really can't test.
Or at least we haven't figured out how yet.
Yeah, the amount of money that they pour into brain research, you'd think that they'd be able to test some of it, but it's just one of those things that maybe we really shouldn't, and just kind of let it be what it is.
I don't know. It's really interesting stuff. Whether or not, man, and at some point, I've always had this belief. At some point, science and spirituality will eventually intertwine. Like it will be this intertwining thing because eventually they'll start connecting.
We'll figure out enough to where we start to understand spirituality.
Yeah, and like where we really came from and all this. Obviously, we're so far off from that. We won't see it in our generation, but I'm talking about like thousands of years from now, if the human species keeps developing the way that it is, creating technology, advancing technology, force-coupled technology, all this, eventually they will intertwine at some point.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be thousands of years. What do you have, the AI robot Sophia or whatever? She's actually an artist, a legitimate artist, and sold like the first like online transaction.
But even those have to be programmed to learn and to input like.
Yeah. No, you're right. They do. But I mean, just think about 50 years from now, what she's going to be able to do.
But it's, I mean, I always talk about, not to stay on this subject too long, but I always think Jesse's a little crazy when he talks about karma and spirituality and all this stuff, because I don't really believe in it. But at the same time, at the end, it's all kind of, not to make it all unsexy and whatnot, but it's all kind of science. I mean, we didn't used to know how rain works. Like, we didn't used to know where rain came from. And now we understand, to a degree, you know, like, what causes clouds to form and what causes rain to form. And
not to a degree. I'm pretty sure we have that fairly solid.
I'm saying to a degree is, I mean, but what I'm saying, that's the whole point of science. Maybe we look farther into science and expand the scope, and then we find out, oh man, there's a giant man in the sky who makes the clouds.
Yeah.
I'm saying maybe you go even farther and you figure out more.
Yeah.
It's true.
No,
like, that's the whole point, is that
yeah.
eventually spirituality and science have to coincide the more that we learn.
So the type of life that we live in, everything's explainable. It's just a matter of finding out what it is.
Yeah.
And we'll always try and find the answer, and we think we find it, and we're like, okay, this is it. But then 100 years later, like, well, no, they were wrong. This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's explainable in this environment that we live in, but it's just progression over time, how we find out what it is that is science.
I also have this really big feeling, and this is mainly after I've smoked like a massive fucking joint, and I'm watching like just like Pawn Stars on my TV on whatever day that I have off, and I'm just contemplating the world, or I'm watching like podcasts or whatever, and then I realize how much I interact with technology myself. Like, so every Sunday, I don't know if you don't have an iPhone, but iPhone does this. It will let you know how much screen time you have on average every day. Like, it gives you like a report almost on how much you've been on your phone. And then whenever you see that number, you're like, man, I am on my phone a lot. And that's
like, I spent 8 hours on whatever,
so
Reddit this week.
What's the most in one day that you've seen?
I was averaging like 2.5 hours screen time on my phone is what I was doing, probably at the highest level. But then I realized, man, that's not even counting me in front of a computer. Even just going ahead and count all of technology, me being in front of something.
Hell, you can count right now.
So how much we are integrated, like think about all these young people that come in that hang out. The majority of the time, they're not even talking. I guarantee you it's like a 50-50.
Yeah.
To where they're on their phones more. And we are literally like synergistically like coming into technology too. And I think that it will beat us out because on an evolutionary level, we can't compete with it, which I know Elon Musk talks about that a lot, and you can look up a bunch of shit on that. But no, I'm like, man, there's no denying it. Like, I am so much a part of technology. Like, think about it. You can get your entertainment, you get your information, even like on a sexual level. Like people will use the internet. Like, and it's all tech based. The only thing you're really not getting is like your nutrition from it. Like at this point.
No, you're right. That's like the only thing that you can't.
We don't. It is so much involved in this interconnected like piece of technology. It's almost hard to deny that we're androids within ourselves.
Well, and I think what is it? The most viewed YouTube video is like 2 or 3 billion views or something crazy like that. And there's 7 billion people on the earth. So I mean, that's what 1/3 of people who have access to technology already in the short period of time that it's existed. When you talk about the level of technology that we're talking about, and you can reach 2 billion people in a matter of seconds out of 7 billion, and we're not talking infants and babies, all adults. Most adults, no matter really where you live, have access to technology.
Yeah,
in some form. Yeah, I'm sure there's third world countries that don't, and they're still old school and still do everything by the book when it comes to. You know what I'm saying?
Like, even from radio in your car. Like, think about driving in your car. Not only the technology of like your car getting you places, but even the information that you're getting while driving your car. You're listening to something, whether or not it's music, everything. Like, we are very much tied into this. Good luck going without any of this for any extended period of time. We'd go through so much withdrawal. Like, I think that I couldn't survive without technology. You just could not put me out in the fucking woods, like Bear Grylls style, or the guy who did Survivor Man. Like, no, even he had cameras too, so even he was still using some form of technology, but that was just to view the show. But no, it's like this is a thing you need to, and it's only going to progress more.
Yeah.
And the question is, what is your mentality behind it? Is it a negative thing or is it a positive thing?
Well, it just depends on how you look at it. You look at a country like China, it's 60 miles away from Beijing right now. They're building a completely brand new city, like a massive, beautiful, gorgeous city that's going to be a technological city, and it's going to be done by the year like 2030 or something like that. I can't remember specifically which year it is. But they're building a city based on technology. And you look at China, and I'm sure Beijing's probably one of the lead countries, or one of the lead cities when it comes to technology, and you see what they're doing and how they're implementing it. So is it a good thing? Absolutely not, on how China uses it with their social credit system. And we've went down this road, and we see exactly what's going to happen. And we're slowly seeing that start to adapt here in the U.S. culture. We've had John Kleisek on twice, and we've talked about technocracy or whatever it's called, and technocrat or whatever, and we see how it's slowly developing in the United States. So when you ask me, is it a good thing or a bad thing? It's a bad thing in my opinion, but for people who love technology, they're going to be like, no, I love it. This is exactly what we want.
We've had this conversation, not in this sense, but we've had a conversation similar to this before, and I still stand by the fact that I think that technology, we've literally had this conversation. I don't think technology is evil, and I don't think technology is bad. Because I mean, at one point we created
It's a moral.
At one point we created fire.
Area.
We created the wheel. You know what I mean? Like the wheel's a good thing. Cars are a good thing, right? They get us around. They get us from place to place. Newspapers are a good thing. The printing press, all these things are good things because they get us information. There's nothing inherently wrong with the internet or cell phones or Wi-Fi or any kind of... if Beijing builds a city where every building is built with just Wi-Fi instantly installed... Like my grandpa built his own house years ago, and he did it from the ground up and built it to where everything had Wi-Fi and everything had Ethernet connections because he's a huge tech guy. So he built it that way from the get-go so that it was already ahead. And now houses have caught up to it, but at the time it was already ahead. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing inherently wrong with technology. It is a tool. I've said that before. It's a tool. It's how you use it, though. The fact that Beijing and the fact that China can use it to establish a social credit and a norm and stuff like that. The fact that America can use it to shove advertising down our fucking throats, to like literally process when we're using Google and you're walking around with your phone, they know where you are all the time. They can process, like I've brought it up before, they know when Cortland comes over to our house, they show me car ads. They literally show me car ads on my phone when Cortland comes over because they know I'm into cars and he's into cars and we're going to be talking about them. Right. So now's the perfect time to show those ads. And they get that off the GPS. Like it's at this point, it's not even conspiracy. It's becoming like common knowledge that Google and Amazon and these giant companies are doing this. That's not technology's fault. That's not us advancing as humans and building new things like building the wheel and building the motorized vehicle. That's not a problem. The problem is how it is used by us.
Which is the ultimate fundamental problem. It's just human beings and its nature of what they want.
But you can't say that either because that gets real dark.
Yeah. But what I always like to think is that we are this stepping stone. Like human beings are not the end all be all. I really don't like that thought process whenever it comes to a lot of like even mainstream religions.
I bet dinosaurs thought they were the end all be all.
You know, to where like, man, we're the best shit the universe ever shat out of, you know, the Big Bang. You know, like we're the primo top of the fucking line. Nothing's going to get better than human beings. I don't like that thought. Mainly because I see all the horrific things that happen that human beings do. Now we are in this weird generation that sees this technological force coupling to where massive advancement is happening with technology and all these things. I'm almost to the point now to where I'm like, man, we are just the stepping stone to allow technology to eventually
become its own
thing. And then AI happens, and man, we were just that portion of history that allowed it. I know a lot of human being ego doesn't want to hear that. Well, because you want to think that you're the coolest shit in the fucking universe.
I'm special.
The thing is,
and it comes down
special.
to a lot. Yeah,
I have ego. I'm special.
I'm special. But I think that, in my own opinion, I think we are this stepping stone in evolution that will eventually give way to technology, and technology will be this.
That'll be a stepping stone too.
Because I mean,
we don't know how, but that'll be a stepping stone to something else.
And that will be beyond our knowledge as far as like what AI will be able to do.
So the question is, as the human race, is one, you have two options. Is one, do you want to continue on this path of evolution with which you guys call it, or do you want to keep it just the status quo and just let humans live out until they naturally evolve? Which I know we've had this discussion as well.
I feel like this is natural evolution,
that'll happen no matter what.
I'm saying if technology, and again, this is hearsay, but I'm saying if technology wasn't as advanced as it was today, I'm just saying maybe a more natural progression. We don't need all this technology. We could sustain a type of life that we have right now without the amount of technology.
But I think
us human beings
creating, us being like artists and creators and people who want to innovate, like that's the human spirit. We create and we innovate and we do things. That is part of evolution. So us creating technology is part of us evolving as a species.
I get that, but I'm saying just more of a more natural.
So you're talking about that is natural. That's what I'm saying. That is the natural progression.
No, I'm saying like humans still exist without technology taking over human beings.
See, to me, that would be unnatural. That would be us dumbing ourselves. No, that'd be us dumbing ourselves.
Not necessarily.
Just from my point of view.
Because in the multiverse, there could be many different options, is what I'm saying.
I guess what I'm saying.
And for the sake of people being greedy and power hungry and the way that technology is being used, which is to be a negative effect on humankind, I'm just really not down with that being the natural way of progression for human beings.
Do you know one thing I can almost guarantee is that if technology gains AI, it will not become greedy. it won't become greedy.
You don't know that.
No,
Not if it's made by humans.
No, because it's a human aspect, and AI is so much more advanced,
Which is made by humans.
I don't think a lot of people realize the way that I
He's
look.
talking about true AI though, not the AI that we have now.
Where do you think it gets the algorithms? It's based upon programs that we created and we feed into it what it is. How would it not be greedy?
It's so advanced it wouldn't want that human flaw of being so greedy and that need for so much. It wouldn't have that. And maybe this is just a personal thing for me, but I see like people who hoard wealth so much as almost having a mental illness. I'm like, man, there is something wrong with you mentally. Why do you need all like so much? You can find beauty in great things in small in why do you constantly need so much? I was like, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, it doesn't fucking register. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I enjoy a new pair of fucking shoes. I would like a fucking new car and shit like that. But to have that amount, I'm like, man, this is almost a burden more than anything else. I was like, where's your mentality at whenever it comes to wanting so much? And if AI ever came in and was like a thing, I guarantee you it wouldn't be going after like how much nice gold, shit it could fucking have. It'd be much more refined and a lot better at what we think.
Well, you got to think about it like
this.
But
then again, I sound like human beings are like this big issue, which we're not. We're a beautiful flaw is what we end up being, in my opinion.
And eventually, right, technology might take over. But if you look at, so James O'Keefe from Project Veritas, he came out with a video. He had an insider who had a conversation with the Facebook executive. And they were just talking to him about what he thought about the current situation with Facebook. And he said it's a very dangerous environment for Mark Zuckerberg to have access to 2 billion people. He said the greatest king of all, like throughout the history of humankind, has never had access to 2 billion people in the history of time.
I've never heard that.
That's the amount of power that this guy has. And he says if they're not broken up, he said just the implications are just very scary. And he said that technology eventually will take over and it won't be good for humankind.
You know the irony in that is that our government literally has more control than that because our government has access to everything that Facebook has access to.
I mean, I don't know. They've been questioned in front of Congress, and they're saying
you really, dude. We've all heard about Snowden. Man, the government right now, if they wanted to, they don't want to because they don't give a shit about you, Paul. But if they wanted to, the government could find out everything that's on your Facebook.
Oh yeah.
Your fucking old MySpace, your Zynga, your porn history. They could find everything they want about you that you've ever done online. They can find your GPS location from Amazon, from Google, all these separate companies. So to say that Mark Zuckerberg has this hold on all these people. What about the fucking
right?
Like my whole thing is you talked about look at the threat of technology, right? Well, how many other species have we just absolutely, and also races of people that other people have just absolutely wiped out, and we were a threat to them too. Like there was always a threat to something else. This is almost the evolutionary process. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't want to like sound cynical as to where human beings are just like garbage and all this. No, we are very unique, very amazing fucking things that happen on this planet, but to have so much big of an ego to think we're the end all be all is what I'm saying. And nothing's going to be better than being, American and fucking in America in 2020. This is the pinnacle of what the universe can give us.
2021 now.
Sorry, 2021. That's a joke to me. I'm like, dude, we're still in the stepping stone process. And also a lot of where I get some of my spirituality comes from is to realize that I'm an integral part of this process of everything that's happening. And I get to live in this time and be in this portion of it and then do this, which you could also take very cynically as well. Because at some point, it almost becomes meaningless, but everything has purpose too. But
the ripple effect,
like so small. No, so it's a weird thing. Nobody ever gets down on this, especially like anybody religious or any human being, because what I'm doing is I'm kind of shitting on
your ego and human beings.
Like, yeah, and I go, man, you really are just a part of something else that's going to be,
Yeah,
you have purpose
than here.
You have purpose, but you're not as special as you think you are.
Yeah, we're not the end all be all.
I see where you guys are coming from, and I completely understand, but I would have to just wholeheartedly disagree with a lot of what you guys say. But I understand where you're coming from, and I get where things are heading. It's most likely in that way. but I don't agree with it on a human level.
And that's the thing, is you don't have to agree with it or like it. I do say that it's kind of not, or it's kind of dumb to not see it happening. It's like when people say, I don't believe in guns. Well, what do you mean you don't believe in guns? Guns exist.
I'm not saying I don't believe you. I think that's where we're headed.
That's what
I'm completely right.
I guess that's what I'm saying.
I just don't agree in the way.
Yeah, and you probably shouldn't agree, or you don't have to agree. Like it's probably is a bad thing, but it doesn't change the fact that it's happening.
What really you were getting down to is how it's used currently. And because human beings are so flawed, what you don't want to end up seeing is this massive amount of corruption and misuse of something that could be used so good for everybody else to allow their time on, in this world to be better, as to where somebody takes advantage of that and then fucks a bunch of like small people over to where they can have, an extra couple fucking houses, somewhere. And then people have to suffer because of that.
Yeah.
That's when the misuse really comes in. And that comes down to a bunch of other like actual real time things we can talk about, as far as politics, religion, like all this, and regulation. And then you could go down those roads. That's about the realm we could like stay in as far as technology goes. But as far as the overall, I don't think there's anything stopping this. I think this is an inevitable thing from this as far back as we can see historically, to see like where we came, and then to be like, oh man, I'm the best shit. I'm the best the universe has ever fucking shat out.
You might be right
it's
now.
It's a joke. No, you
might be right now.
I'm the best model right now, probably.
Yeah.
We're like
Windows
double
100.
liver. Like I wish they would have gave me a double liver.
We're Windows 98. We're better than 93 or whatever was before that. But eventually there's going to be, Vista
at
or
some
whatever.
point, and even the argument to say that, and I've talked about this on the podcast too, that at some point we will transcend what we even call human beings. Because if you go back far enough, we came from something that we didn't call, or humanoids, humanoids. Now we're human beings within this
Neanderthals.
Yeah, but there's always the missing link with the Neanderthal, with the skeletal that they have on the time period. There's missing links.
I will give you that. But the most wisdom I've ever heard in my life is the one thing that's guaranteed is change. And within this is also we will no longer be like this. We are unique in a sense that we're living within this time period, speaking the languages that we are, interacting the way that we are, using technology the way that we use technology, all these different variables. You can do that.
And solely speaking on evolution, though, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Change-wise.
No. So eventually,
still a theory.
Even if technology, like let's say we limit technology, eventually human beings will become something
else,
something completely else, to where you're not even.
That's assuming evolution is a thing. Though.
No, but even
evolution is a thing.
Hold up, even without. Which, I don't know why you're going down that road, but
Man,
even without,
that's
let's
stupid.
It's
ignore
a theory.
Hold
It's a
up.
theory. Evolution is a theory. It's not a proven fact.
Evolution is Evolution is the most simplistic,
the most sound theory
thing. And I know you're trying to play devil's advocate here, but it almost makes
still a theory though.
Ignoring the evolution aspect of it, though, you can't deny the fact that just like everything else that ever existed, humans as a species, we have an expiration date. I'm not talking about one person. I'm not talking about the fact that I could die at 90 years old. I'm talking about all of humanity as a species will not last forever. There is an expiration date, and something will exist after us.
No, so think about
Fair
this.
enough.
Like even if the Earth's like I don't know what flat. I would almost want to hear a flat earther's opinion on this about as far as the longevity of the actual Earth will go. Like, do they think that the Earth is going to last forever?
The Earth will end one day.
Or if it gets too close to the sun, like which is traditional scientific information, no matter what, if we don't leave this planet at some point, we will be absorbed by the fucking sun. And there cannot be life happening on this planet because it gets too hot. It's not retaining moisture. The atmosphere goes away, all that.
Or the sun will go out and then we all freeze.
And then something, nothing lasts forever, which I think everybody can understand, that nothing lasts forever, because everybody understands that you are not going to last forever. Eventually, like, death is inevitable. It's the great equalizer of everything, is that everything doesn't last. So my whole point is, why wouldn't you strive for something that's going to be able to actually embody our history and then go farther into other planets, which might be, you know what's fascinating to me A bunch of people who talk about aliens talk about little gray humanoids that are super tiny. Well, if you were to engineer biologically something that's going to go through space, you would want it to be small and highly intelligent, which is literally how people talk about like small gray aliens. Not even to go off too much on this, but I'm like, the tinier that they are, the easier it is to ship over time and space because of the size of it and all this.
Less mass,
less calories, less food
mass,
intake,
less food intake.
Yeah.
No, like all this, there are some weird things back behind there to where I'm like, oh man, maybe this is like literally AI is biologically creating, which I don't know why they just don't have robots at that point, but maybe there's a reason why biological creatures are important too, as far as the symmetry between the two, because they can adapt. I don't know, man, that goes so fucking far into shit that's beyond my mind. But I'm saying there is this force coupled evolutionary thing, and man, you cannot have the mentality that, man, we're the end all be all, because that in my amount of wisdom that I have is the second you think you're the best and you're the best that could ever be, you are fucking up so much.
You've already failed.
You have absolutely fucking failed.
I completely agree with you. We should never have the mindset that we're the best or we're the end all be all. I don't really think that I've ever really had that mindset growing up as a human being. I see that we're at the top of the food chain, but if you put me in a cage with a tiger or a lion, obviously I would know who's at the top of the food chain at that point in time. And I know we could go into like, who's smarter and all that. Obviously I see where humans are and I see where you're coming from. Damn it, I lost my train of thought. This is not good, man. I think I'm developing early.
No, so what
early
would
onset
happen?
Alzheimer's?
Yes.
Do you think that humans? Do you think that the human species, as we are today, will last forever?
I think it's.
Let me rephrase. Do you think that humans will last until the end of time, till the end of the universe?
So, and that's what I want to say. We've survived, and based on books and tablets and stuff like that we have access to, which none of us have access to, but other people do. We've allegedly have survived great cataclysms.
Yeah, we're one planet though right now.
For sure.
Dude, there's so much more else out there. We're a speck of, when you look at the timeline of existence, our entire, what did you say, millions of years or billions? However long, millions.
The Earth is 4 billion years old.
Okay, so that entire 4 billion years,
according to science,
is a speck of sand.
For sure. Depending on how you look at it. And there's nothing to say that humans didn't exist with the dinosaurs. No,
but even if let's say we existed with the dinosaurs, that's still a speck of sand. We're one floating rock in a vast amount of like everything.
Sure.
We probably will not see this in our lifetime, but our kids' will probably have to deal with this, as far as a separation of genetics that happens so quick because we have the technology to develop genetics, to where literally there is this branching off of higher humanoid.
In Israel, they just copied an embryo or something like that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
You're talking almost like a superhuman.
No. So this is what I was getting at. The technology will get, like I said, we will not see this in our lifetime, and it's probably going to be our kids' that see this. Like Phoenix and Finley will probably be like grandmothers at this point whenever this actually takes place, which I could be wrong, but that's going to be where I would put it timeline-wise, to where human beings will separate genetically so much to where there are different classes now of human beings based upon the changing of the genetic code.
Because of technology,
because of technology,
right,
and how you're able to speed up the evolutionary process. And then you will have this subculture of human beings who didn't, evolutionary evolve through technology. So they're super limited. And then now they're a slave class. That would not surprise me one bit. If that takes place?
At what point is that?
And then once again, then you have, because all we've seen throughout history is that it cycles through, and we're kind of fucking pieces of shit. There will be a slave class of people in the fucking future. Man, I'm saying some Alex Jones level shit right now. In the future, to where who just come from our bloodline, basically, like natural fucking, we're the slave level people, and then all the other ones, all the rich people who get to genetically enhance, pick out the shit that takes out all the bad shit. Now everybody's at least like 6'1" or whatever, super athletic, highly intelligent,
born without the possibility for disease,
super integrated, no need for vaccines, all this because due to technology. And then now you see the split between humanity. and then you have to deal with that issue, which is up to like kids have to deal with that morality, and wisdom, and it's how to deal with that. We're dealing with our own shit right now, which we can't even get right.
At what
Good luck
point,
with that, because that's going to be even worse.
At what point?
And I know I sound crazy, but that's literally how I picture it.
At what point is that a different species? So, for example, you've got your class system where I can't remember this, but you've got like, I'm gonna get this order fucked up, but we all remember science class. You had like class and like phylum and genus and species and all this different stuff. So at what point, like right now, there's multiple different crabs. They're all crabs, they're all whatever. Like you look at them, you're like, you're all crustaceans, you're all crabs, but this is a snow crab, this is a king crab, this is a blue crab, whatever. They're different species. They are actually different. At what point
can't even breed with each other?
Yeah. At what point would that reach to where is that the marker though?
I
the
think
fact that they can't breed with each other.
You'd have to get like a biologist.
So technically, right now,
biologist.
Technically,
like a
right. I
biologist
think that right
that.
now it's like 80% of people that are alive right now are a certain type of human, and then it's like either 20 or 15% are a different type of blood type than the rest of us in the world.
See, but we're all still interconnected. Like we all still have a general.
Like the DNA is different, like
but they can still breed with each other.
So literally, anybody who's a human can breed with another human.
Right.
At some point, what I'm saying is because of it will be so separated to where you'll have this class of people that have access to
technology.
I want to quit.
Man,
using
you
the
need to
word
watch.
technology.
You need to watch Blade Runner 2049.
I really do.
Because this gets into that, honestly.
Well, there's another.
I love
movie
Michael
too,
Cera. He was great in that movie.
Another movie
He's
too.
not.
There's another movie. It's a little bit older, and I want to say Tom Cruise is in it. I can't remember what it's called.
Minority Report?
No. Maybe it wasn't Tom Cruise. It was maybe Christian Bale, where it's like a futuristic, like, and then like people can actually pick how their babies are. I forget what the movie's called, but it's pretty interesting.
No, but my whole thing eventually it'd be like, okay, so
You can
like
do that
a
now.
horse. So I might be getting this wrong. A horse can fuck a donkey or a mule, or wait, that creates a mule. But then that can't breed because of the weird genetics.
But a mule can't breed with a horse or something like that.
At some point, because of we're gonna go through this force coupling through all this genetic influence we're able to put in through laboratory work, that now you have the separation of who had the money. They're able to fucking breed all these people that literally cannot fucking breed with other fucking people. And dude, you could have somebody watch this fucking podcast who has studied this for fucking 50 years. Some old guy with a white beard at like Penn State just going, oh, well, no, that's
you're
not
wrong
because
of this, and you're wrong because of this.
And so I don't fucking know. I don't
It's
want
all
to sound
opinion.
like I fucking know. This is very much opinion. I'm very like high sci-fi fucking future is what I'm painting, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit if it actually turned out fucking true. Is what I'm saying. I never want to say this is what's happening. It just wouldn't surprise me if this is.
I think what you're talking about with
is.
how technology is going to progress, that's maybe more along the lines of what the outcome is going to be. People are going to progress. Human beings are going to be able to do what you described, and then there's going to be a slave class. There's always going to be a slave class.
But there's always been a slave class.
I know. You think that eventually we'd get
The
over
poor
it.
are it right now.
Yeah, 100%.
Man, the closest thing we were away from that, which at that point, then you're discriminating against skin color, was like the 1940s and 1950s, whenever you had really good economy in America. But then it's just white people who
But then you still had a slave class overseas.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's always a thing. People, like, man, we still haven't even progressed that much as a society because we still use other people to fucking, we take advantage of other people to do things. And man, I don't see that ever going away. I think that's just a human flaw. Like, this is just a massive fucking human flaw that we
I completely agree with that. Yeah, it's just something that's never going to go away. And we could talk about it blue in the face until it's ran into the ground. It's never going to change. It's one of those things that'll always be there. It's a stigma within the DNA of human beings is being greedy.
I mean, hopefully one day it does change. And I hate to say this, but not even in human beings, but in the shit that he was talking about. Once human beings are gone and you just have whatever is after us,
superhumans or whatever it is.
Even after that, just AI. I don't even want to say AI. Let's not even say whatever comes next. After humans are long gone, and then AI exists,
Who
and
knows
AI
what
creates
technology
something.
produces?
That's what I'm saying.
Right? Who the fuck
AI
knows?
could create biological things.
Which is why I'm like, dude, like aliens and their description of that, and I'm like, man, if you really like symbiotically still need like that form of life, like biological life, to keep like technology going, and that's why I was like, man, the weird little description of like gray aliens, I was like, man, that makes sense in my head. Like them like going around.
So you're saying like maybe we evolved into grays? Maybe that's like some futuristic human.
So
genetics?
grays, human DNA or whatever. Like, but technology birthed the grays though. So they took all the information they had. They could replicate human life if they fucking wanted to. Honestly, it probably would get so advanced to where they could literally create a pre-early humanoid like DNA because they'd have that amount of information. It sounds crazy to people, but always science fiction turns into fucking science fact over a long enough period of time. As long as you can keep innovating, you will be able to do things.
It actually gets...
It's force coupled. I've used
it
force
actually gets
coupled.
worse than that. There's that saying of, what is it, like, truth is stranger than fiction, which is anything you can think of. Think about, who was it? Was it Orwell or was it someone else who drew out the future? He was like, in the year 2010, there will be these crazy blimps that everybody lives in. We will live in the sky and there will be blimps and people will take blimps to go from here and there. And truth is stranger than fiction. We've got like the sci-fi that we think of now. Like if you were right now to predict the future and predict what would exist in the year 2050, the shit that actually exists in 2050 will be crazier than the stuff that you can come up with.
Yeah, no, I completely... Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility. It is. You're right. It's going to be way crazier. So one question that I have, though, when we're talking about all this and what pertains to this, is just a question that I have. And you talk about the expansiveness of the universe and how big it is, and just how infinite it is, and truly, when we would never really understand the perspective of what it is. Sorry, I keep on just describing how big the universe is.
Real big.
And this just comes from opinion, but do you think that there are other life forms out there? More, I mean, other life forms like us that are technologically advanced, maybe more so.
Being a fan, that sounds so lame, but being a fan of math and statistics, I find it almost impossible for there not to be.
Okay, so if that's the case, and you find it almost impossible for it not to be, you're not saying it's certain. But
I'm not saying, but my number would be 99.9 repeating.
So within us having this conversation and we're thinking how great we are as a human race and where we've came so far.
Which I'm not saying we are.
No. But Jesse, what I'm saying inherently, that's just kind of how we feel about the human race.
That's how we you
know what
feel.
I'm saying? So what I'm saying is specifically, if there was another advanced civilization out there somewhere in the universe, I feel like they would have contacted us at some point.
What if
within this lifetime? And if they haven't, you know what I'm saying? Why would they bow down to our government? Why would they bow down to our government and say, hey, we're not going to contact, and people don't need to know that we exist, and you don't have to know that we're here. You guys can't handle it yet. You're not ready for this shit.
Who says they're advanced enough to... So there could be a species way more advanced than us. We haven't colonized Mars. What if there's a species that has colonized multiple solar systems, but they still haven't made it as far as us, but they've done that to other species?
But there's got to be one or two out there, man. That's what I'm saying.
I'm agreeing with you. Those probably exist, but that doesn't mean that they
don't want to fuck with us because we're not.
No, I'm saying maybe they haven't made it to us. You just said the universe is vast.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me put it this way, and this is what I honestly think as far as like, because I do think that we've been visited by extraterrestrials.
I disagree. There's no way we have.
I really
because
do.
Everyone would know about it. They wouldn't keep it some secret and just be in cahoots with our government.
I really do.
What makes our government so special that they would be in the know about aliens?
Well, I think a lot of our technological advancement comes from reverse engineering.
But if they've flown from other galaxies and they come here, you think they're going to get caught by our government and our technology? Not a fucking chance. And then if they catch them and they put them down,
that's a good thing to bring up. And then like, why is it crashing? Like you just
why do you crash?
And then you crashed in fucking Roswell? No, I totally get that argument. So I'm like 50-50 here with you. Like I'm more than willing to like say, even though I do
hold up though. But if we were to send something to Pluto right now, it would crash there.
They're traveling galaxies, those man. They know.
Okay,
they know other
planets.
Years
from now, if we send something to a different galaxy, our first time there, our very first time visiting that, there would be issues.
If they would have a contraption to where it blew up instantly.
Dude, we have shit breakdown on Mars. We have shit breakdown on Mars.
You're talking interstellar travel, man.
That's what you're talking about.
Which is I'm saying on a different level.
It's like the biggest, even on a bigger level, thing you could ever talk about is interstellar travel.
Okay, hold up. So travel, though, in general.
You're trying to break it down on a science that we believe in and that we know. These people are on a different level of science.
I know they are. Listen to what I'm saying. Travel, though, at any point when you come upon something new, there's room for fault there. So we came across the Americas thinking it was India, and we had issues there. We came here thinking it was India, and it was actually America, this continent that we had never been to or whatever, because it was our first time there.
Sure.
We go to Mars, and there's issues with the rover because it's the first time there. We send a probe to Pluto. There's a chance that the first probe to Pluto doesn't send us any results back because it fucking breaks. So we have to send another one. So first contact with us, even if it's light years apart and from different galaxies, if that's the farthest they've stretched, their first contact could have issues. It could have problems.
I think, yeah. I mean, sure, I get what you're saying, but if they're going to travel that far, they would have a lot of things.
We say that about Pluto. If we were going to travel as far as Pluto, it's all perspective. It's all perspective.
Also, you have this massive issue. If they're so technologically advanced to where they can do interstellar travel, why even do it?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Like, why even do it?
What if they can just perfect what they've
like,
got?
what are you looking for? Like, what are you looking for? You can already do, like, the most amazing feat, fucking, at least, okay, the only thing bigger than interstellar travel would be interdimensional travel, to where you could literally go into another dimension. I can do that with, like, 3 grams of shrooms. So, I'm good on that. But, like, literally, why even do it? Like, what are they still looking for, too? If this is the case, like so they still don't have everything figured out, and maybe like everybody's just constantly trying to figure out
hold on
where
real
the
quick.
fuck everything came from.
So
no, this is a big fucking,
I get you on that. I think we all want to know, we all have those types of questions, but I think one of the things we forget is just friends and family and having those good times. Those things probably still exist within those societies or those type of civilizations.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Where you still have a family and kids and you want to have that type of relationship. And you can still interstellar travel. That would be pretty dope.
But they might not have that kind of relationship. They might be past that. They might be past the feelings of love or kindness or whatever. They might just be.
You have to go through this weird thing of it all means nothing or it all means fucking everything. You know what I mean? Like, it's very easy to become cynical to the whole idea of life and everything. You see a bunch of intelligent people like literally blow their fucking brains out. Because, like, look at Friedrich Nietzsche. Like, literally, he was like, none of this fucking even means anything. Like, I'm here, like, dealing with life and fucking suffering, but it
doesn't matter.
It doesn't fucking matter. Like, I don't fucking matter. None of this can fucking matter, which might be the fucking case. It might be the case. For all we know, infinitesimally, like, universes in like, different split-offs and shit. None of this even fucking matters. And that's a really dismal way to fucking look at life, which you should not look at life like that. Like, that's not a good way to look at life because everything, like, if I invest
it's not a good way to live life. You can't live life like that.
Like, ooh, I think, therefore I am kind of thing. So you kind of always have to have some semblance of purpose, like, of why I'm here. It's hard, like, dealing with these thoughts and the massiveness of, and I think for some people it's a curse. It really is. Thinking about deep level thoughts of where the future is going to be 1,000 years from now, like where people are going to end up. And maybe it's a blessing to a bunch of people to think that, man, being in the United States and being who I am, this is literally the pinnacle of fucking life, you know? And maybe they have it right because you have that right mentality, and then you get to live your life thinking that. You know, I see farther past that, though, and it can become dismal, but it shouldn't be dismal, too. I really think, man, there is so much of a piece of all this, and it's always going to be a mystery, and it's always going to be this beautiful mystery in the end. And I get to talk about it.
You're not wrong on that.
You know, it's this beautiful mystery that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
And we have to deal with all these moral issues and try to figure things out and try to find the better future.
And I agree there's always a common ground, and everyone's trying to figure out what's truly going on. But at the end of the day, it's everyone with their own opinions and everyone throwing in their own mix and everyone's own science. I know there's a fundamental.
That's what makes it great, though.
Yeah,
that's what makes it beautiful is everybody has their own thoughts.
Yeah, but again, it's just human, right? And it doesn't mean that it's right. And it's right in where we live and in the world that we live in. I agree with you, and you guys have taught me some things along the road, you know, to kind of guide me into the right place. Science does have its place, but at the same time, I think it can be used in a way to sway people in another direction.
Oh, for sure. It can 100% be used for evil.
Yeah.
100%. If we're good and evil. I hate using those terms, but
Yeah.
it can 100% be
Science
used for
or
bad.
technology? I think
Science.
I think,
Science.
No,
okay,
I mean,
okay.
no.
Science.
I really
Technology,
think
not
you misused
science.
the word.
Yeah.
I really think you misused
I
the
actually
word.
agree with Jesse on this.
And this is where I'm coming from personally, because science is not owned by somebody.
Science is just the study of everything.
Science is literally the study of things.
Yeah, but
constantly changing.
But what your eye see is not
Now-
the same thing as what my eye see. So how
But-
does science hold
man,
true in that
and
regard?
I understand where you're coming from, but it's not. Science is almost uncorruptible, because corrupted science isn't science anymore.
Well, science really isn't even science. Science is just the nature of
Everything.
Now, what you're talking about,
everything.
now what you would really get down to, if we went down this road, which I don't know how much time we have, but if you really went down this road, you'd be talking about institutions that are being corrupted, not the idea of science. Science within itself, in the purity of itself, the testing of things, peer reviewed, like it is a very probably the most uncorrupted form of anything in this world.
Even when you talk about
beyond politics, like science still holds up.
That's false, because one thing you forget. Okay, when you talk about peer reviewed and just specifically an individual or an institution, like you said, they can be corrupt. But when you're talking about just,
but they literally left it open to not be corrupted.
I know, but you talk about
like within the laws of science.
You talk about peer reviewed, right? And this is specific whenever you talk about Dr. Paul Thomas when he came out with his vaccine review, and the peer reviewed board dismissed him of his license to even do pediatrics.
Yeah, so that's the institution that is corrupt.
So, okay, but that's a peer-reviewed article that he came out with, and
and
they're
it's
not allowing
corrupt.
and they're
It's
not
corrupt, and
allowing,
it's
they're not
fucked
allowing
up.
people to see it. So what I'm saying is that's
not science, though. That's not science.
Institution.
I understand that.
There is an institution that's a scientific institution that can become corrupted.
Everything is ran by institutions, so all of science could be
go
corrupted.
figure. Because human, because of the
we're
human
just using
variable.
This is an argument that's going to lead nowhere, because we're just using the term science in different ways.
For sure, yeah.
I think you think of it differently than how I think of it.
No. I think we think of it as the same. I agree. We kind of made a foundation for it of what science is. It's nature and what it is that we live in, the realm that we
It's
live in.
just the study of
what did you
everything.
say?
If I take something, if I
Trying
take
to
a ball
explain.
in my hand and
Trying
I
to
drop
explain
it,
everything.
all I'm trying to do, science is me taking this ball, dropping it, and then trying to explain why it went down instead of up. That's all science is. It's trying to explain why that happened.
Even
when
flat
you get
earthers.
people involved and you have these different studies and all this, people can change the numbers. They can get corrupt. They can make stuff up. But the idea of science in general, of just trying to figure stuff out, that's pure.
Yes.
But there could maybe potentially be 5 different ways for why that ball fell on the ground.
For sure. And that's why you keep studying those different ways and try to narrow that down.
That's why they
or
call them
figure out-
theories.
Yeah.
It's still called, it's a theory of gravity. Because we still don't exactly fucking have everything pieced together. And
even the laws can
This is
change.
weird. This is the second time I'm going to bring up flat earthers. I don't think you realize flat earthers are scientists too. They're questioning things. The whole point of being a scientist, like, you know how, and I know you're not a big fan of Neil deGrasse Tyson, but he's like, everybody's got a scientist in them. Everybody questions, why is this the way that it is? And it's this big mystery, and you want to figure it out. And then you have to go through this. It really is a beautiful thing to be a scientist. And science within itself is something a lot more than I feel as though. And what's crazy is that the scientific community gets hit a lot by other scientists. It's only scientists like debating other scientists, basically, because you say you know how the universe works, right?
You say the Earth is at the center of the universe.
You were a scientist. You were being a scientist there with having a theory and then attempting to prove it.
Right.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And it's just really, I don't want to get down into other shit. You're right. Institutions can become corrupted, but science within itself is just attempting to understand on a purest level why things are happening the way that they're happening.
Yeah.
Without
an
emotion,
explanation,
without bias.
No,
just
without religion, especially without religion.
Without religion, without emotion, without bias.
Yeah.
with
Whatever's happening here on this earth already exists, and it's already happening. And I completely understand why people try and find out. Hey, I want to know why it does that.
Yeah.
Like it's set. This place is in motion, and it's going to happen no matter what. And for a specific reason, we don't know why it is.
But we can try to figure it out.
Exactly, and I'm 100% down.
There's
for
nothing
that.
wrong with that.
But I think that's our job, to be honest with you. The
Yeah.
biggest job of humanity has probably been trying to figure out where we came from.
Yeah,
I mean, it's caused a lot of turmoil in the process. But I mean, what else? Like, how else is it gonna go down?
yeah.
You know, like nothing ever goes down
Dude,
smoothly.
Sometimes I'm driving, I'm
Like-
like, what the fuck is going on right now? Why am I driving in this vehicle in the same place I've been driving for 30 years when this Earth is 4 billion years old. And I'm like, what the?
I mean, that's more of an existential crisis.
I wonder,
but-
I wonder how they were writing like Vulcans in Star Trek to like, because they couldn't just have been born intelligent, right? Like the most intelligent beings in the universe. I'm sure there's some Trekkie who's like watching this right now.
Who's like, no, they were born this way because
blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, whatever. But I'm like, man, how did you become so intelligent? Because you can't start. I mean, there is a start to something, but where you are has to like there had to have been a leading up to there.
A progression,
kind of thing.
yeah.
Always. This is one thing. Like, can literally like a kid just be born who fucking just is like writing great fucking poems and playing guitar like fresh.
I mean, we all are born
fresh
different.
out of the vag.
You can be born
like
with a
straight out of
higher.
the fucking vag, like you're just fucking rocking
It's
shit.
very rare. Very
You
rare.
can
You know
you
what
can
I
be
mean?
born with a higher like intelligence quotient or lower intelligence quotient than other people.
No,
though.
but what I mean is it takes experience and shit over time and influence. It's almost like the weathering of a rock. Like whether it's water weathering it or wind that's coming in or sand that's coming in that's changing it to be what it is. It's always environmental. Without the environmental, even though some animals are really interesting because like a snake comes out of a fucking egg and then just knows what the fuck.
But that's
just knows what
genetics
the
too.
fuck to
That's
do.
genetics too.
That shit's wild.
Dude, they can't explain that. They don't know.
No, that's genetics
Dude,
though.
they don't
because
know.
you
Like
know,
cats scared of cucumbers. Cat's never seen a snake before in its fucking life. Domesticated ass cat. Domesticated ass cat.
I tried it on Koopa and it didn't work.
Oh, so it's super domesticated. Super domesticated.
even though
cat
it's
is
all,
Koopa.
it's just genetics.
He's
And
like-
what do they call that?
He's
Inheritance.
like, bro, I've seen a cucumber before, bro. Like, you've had so many cucumbers in this house. Like, what the fuck are you trying to do to me right now? No, it's some weird things that are also genetically inherent. As far as in that, man, that brings up a lot of questions. I could go down that road as far as like
dude,
almost
but that's-
inherent memory, almost inherent.
Nobody has to teach you
genetic
how to
memory.
breathe
No, my nervous system just does that naturally.
because it knows how.
Because if it didn't, I wouldn't be here.
There'd be no point of humans at that point.
Yeah, no, if you have to think about breathing, you fucking wouldn't be here.
Which some people have issues with breathing. They have that type of where they think about it. And people had
That's called getting stoned, bro.
yeah, panic attacks and shit.
It's a real thing too. It's not fun.
No,
But yeah, we didn't even get into the like.
We
the
didn't
bill
talk about a
that we wanted
single
to
news
talk
article.
about.
We just talked about
Yeah.
I love it, man.
technology and genetics and
I love
the
it.
universe. I like it though. That's
crazy. It's
That's what's fun about this podcast is even if y'all are like, man, y'all are on some different level shit. Like
nobody's gonna
it's-
listen to this.
yeah, I don't give a shit. It's fun
This
for
is
me.
probably-
I
probably
enjoy
the
it.
most meaningful. You know what's crazy is that one of us here probably gonna be right like fucking 150 years from now, and this would be like some great like gym piece of representing as far as like
we'll get a million
what-
views on
No,
one of our videos and we're all
it'll
dead.
get
know?
lost behind Fortnite.
Yeah,
you know like
No,
we're
we'll get-
actually like talking about meaningful shit. Nobody's gonna watch this.
Joe Rogan already hit it. It's all good. He said the same thing.
Yeah,
He just says it a week after we do.
yeah.
Maybe he gets his content from Talk
I swear to God
Junkies.
if he does. I swear to God if he
Yeah.
does.
We find out that he's subscribed to us just
Yeah.
under because you don't have to show who you're subscribed to.
Right. He's one of
He's
the.
got to shave my head. If ever I meet Joe Rogan, he's got to shave my head.
You'd let him.
That's a weird.
Yeah.
Like why?
The only
Where'd
person.
that come from?
The only person. Because I've been around. I was the one bitch who backed out of getting my head shaved.
Me.
But why Joe Rogan?
You wouldn't let Sean do it?
No. I would let Joe Rogan shave my head. That's it. That's the only person.
Who was it? No, so me, Sean, Trey's done it. Bishop's done it.
No, I'm the only
Jordan's
one.
done it, yeah.
I'm the only one.
Kyle
I'm literally
did it.
the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
You are
I'm
the only one.
legitimately.
Dude, my
the
hair
only
would
one.
never grow back. No, straight up, dude. If I
Joe
shave my
Rogan
head,
can fucking
You'd be
shave
done.
my head.
dude, if I shave my head, I will look like that for the rest of my life.
Johnny, you're in denial, bro. You just need to do it.
I know.
You just do it, man.
You know what? You know what's weird? There was I remember talking to Jesse about this.
My barber would be pissed. I pay him a lot of money.
I remember
to
talking
cut
to
my
Jesse
hair.
about this. There were a couple of
He'd
weeks.
lose out on a lot of money.
There were a couple of weeks where I was legitimately debating it. I was really thinking about
You just
shaving my
can't
head.
debate it, man. You just got to do it.
But no, the reason I stopped myself is because I was like, we can't have all 3 Jose Peppers employees at Buffs be bald. I was like, I can't have me, Colin, and Paul all be fucking bald.
And then 2 bald dudes on the podcast.
I have.
It's too much, man. You gotta have.
Yeah, you're right.
I can be balding and wear a
Yes,
hat.
yes.
That's my.
I have flickers of memory with Paul with hair. It was like literally like
Like it
just
never even
random
existed.
flicker of memory.
Paul's like, yeah, that's all I have too.
Yeah,
It's
same.
flickers of memory of hair.
Yeah.
yeah, no, but I'm like, dude, it'd be weird if you fucking had hair, which is why I love whenever you throw on the fucking wig. I think it's fucking hilarious.
I know.
dope.
I've been thinking about putting it on. Like I said, man, there's some places how it started off in like I think it was something China or Japan where they have some legitimate wigs. Like it's legit. Like
do they have?
Oh,
here, here in America, they have. It's not called hair plugs. It's called hair. Daniel Negreanu did it. A hair transplant.
No, it's transferred over here into the United States, and it is legit, man. And I'm not talking about fucking Bosley. This is where they'll do this shit to your head. They'll shave it, and then they'll fit a wig to your head, and they glue it on your head, and it lasts for however long you want it to last for.
No, what I'm talking about
is
they have
wig, whatever haircut you want.
They have stuff better than that already exists. Daniel Negreanu, professional poker player, did it. It's called a hair transplant.
Yeah,
and they take hair follicles that still have the follicle on the end or whatever.
No, that's bullshit.
And
it's Bosley. It's Bosley. LeBron James.
No, that's
did
not.
It. LeBron James did it. They're hair implants, and it costs tens of thousands of dollars. Bro, I'm bald. I've looked into it.
I know
for years.
So what I'm talking about though is whatever. I'm not talking about the implants, but the transplant, implant, whatever. And it works. It was real. He's got fucking real hair that is now growing that was transplanted from somewhere else on his fucking body.
It's the same thing with LeBron. LeBron literally did the same thing. His hairline was up to here, and then he got whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then now it's right back up to here.
But I'm saying it's a thing that exists. It's not like a shampoo you use or some shit. Like it's a transplant. It's a surgical procedure.
Yes, that's Bosley.
What about just letting nature take its fucking course?
Yeah, you live one life. You know. Again, I've looked into it. I looked into Bosley. It was $10,000. I was like 20 years old. I was like 23, and I was drunk, like trying to figure out how to get my hair back because I just recently lost it. And I'm like, what the fuck do I do? Like, I need my hair
it's
back.
It's a weird pride thing. It's a weird pride thing too.
It is. But then I realized, man, I look good bald. I'm okay with it.
You do look good bald.
Thank you, man.
You look real good bald.
Well, the thing was, man, I've been doing a one guard for probably the past like 4 or 5 years, and I was bartending where I work now.
I don't know what that. Oh,
a one guard, yeah.
On your yeah.
And this guy comes in and he's a bald guy, and he's like, hey, I was like,
just shave it.
Yeah, we just started talking. I was like, do you think I'm in denial because I do a one guard once a week? And he's like, yeah, man, you're definitely in denial. You just need to fucking do no guard. Once a week, just do it. And I did it last Wednesday, and I fucking loved it, man.
I'm worried I'm gonna shave it all off, and then my head's gonna be all like misshapen or some shit,
nah,
like cone head, triangle head bullshit.
Fuck it. Who cares? Man?
Yeah, who cares? You might have a weird shaped head, and you're gonna think that at first, but then it'll eventually people will just see you for as who you are as bald, and then 10 years from now, we'll be like, Johnny, you look good bald, man.
Colin looks good bald. And it was weird, like whenever
in 10 years, he'll look
step,
even better, though. In 10 years, he'll look even better, I promise you. The more...
Because you'll be used to it more.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Colin does look pretty good.
Man, you just gotta give it up. Like, everything...
You're balding in the back.
Yeah, you're balding too, Jesse. Give it up.
Look at no, but he's got a lot in the front, though, that can... My dad has the same shit that you have.
I have a widow's peak.
Yeah.
I have a widow's peak. No, dude, I've had the same shit since I was like fucking 17.
Yeah.
Talk junkies. We talk about genetics and the universe and technology, and then all of us going bald.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave it at that, man. We're a little bit over the end of the hour. It was a very...
It's fun, though.
Yeah.
Man, I would just like to point out...
We didn't even get into anything we were talking about before.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I want to point out, it's real good to have everybody back.
Yeah.
Like, we had a solid, not just a couple of weeks, myself included being gone because of work. We had a couple of like a month and a half at least.
2 months.
2 months where it was spaced out, where it was like me and Paul, or then it was Paul and Jesse and Dan, and then me and Dan and Paul and whatever. I guess it was never me and Jesse without Paul. Paul's always here for it. Paul's Talk Junkies OG.
He's the cornerstone.
Yeah.
Keystone.
The keystone. But the point is, it was really skewed. You had Carl over here. I was sitting in that chair over there talking. Like, it's good to just have, it's good to be back. Yeah.
It's good for,
it's good to be back.
Talk Junkies, man, is what it is.
Yeah.
Hadn't been Talk Junkies for a while.
I have a widow's peak on your goddamn shirt right now.
Little bit.
Oh yeah, he did.
Tyler did a good job.
That's
Tyler did it real accurately.
Dr. Thurman. Dr. Thurman with the graphic design.
All right, we're just fading off into stuff that nobody has any idea what we're talking about now.
Well, the best thing you guys can do for this video, honestly, is don't even like it. Don't even subscribe to us. Just comment on the video.
Don't even watch it.
Yeah. Don't even watch it.
Just kidding. Watch it.
Watch like a 30
Oh my God, we're so successful. Look at how many people not watching this right now.
Just comment on the video and let us know how you feel about the video if you watched it in its entirety over a little bit over an hour now. Very fascinating conversation. I think throughout like the first 30 minutes, I thought we were going to go in circles for a little bit, but we really never did. It was something different, a different way to look at it. What are your guys' ideas on what you think the future holds for technology? Is the poor going to be a slave class? Is technology going to take over?
Do humans have an expiration date?
And that's going to be the title of the video, man. Do humans have an expiration date? That's exactly what I was thinking. It was either that or was it are humans Windows 98?
That's a bad one. Nobody's looking that up. Nobody's Googling, are humans Windows 98?
No, but you don't have to. You can type in keywords for people as opposed to the title. The title's supposed to be sexy.
Will humans last forever?
I like. Well, do humans
have an expiration date? That's
Paul
good.
had it right the first time.
Yeah.
This should be.
And
then you can show a carton of milk, and then
This conversation should be happening post podcast, but
no, fuck them.
But anyways, you guys, I hope you like and subscribe to the video, even though I told you not to earlier.
Oh, shout out from Jason from This Could Make Us Famous. He came in the other day, and
hell yeah,
he probably won't see this or whatnot, but
yeah, I think he watches, man. I go back and forth. I watch his shit, man. He did a pretty good podcast last week. Over 1,000 or 2,000 views, man. Nice shit. But yeah, again, hope you guys like this video. Subscribe, comment on the video. That's the best thing you could do for us. Is just comment to all our junkies out there.
If you have a pet, fucking give him a big smooch on the snoot for me. And stay fly and ring the bell.
That's what she said.